Okay guys, here we are for the second method of finding the slope of a line. This will be a case when you're given 2 points. This is probably the hardest of all of them. So let's just say you're given problem number 1 and they give you 2 ordered pairs. Maybe 3, 5 and 0, 8. Have no idea if it's going to turn out ugly, nice, whatever. Now, what you could do is do what we did in the last section. You could draw yourself a coordinate plane. You could graph 3, 5. So, do that in orange. So we could go over 3 up 5. Somewhere around here. And we could go over 0 up 8. That one a very smart point to pick. From around here. And we could plot those 2 points and count the rise and run. And actually for that one it wouldn't be too hard to do. We know the rise would be, we're going from up 5 to up 8, be about 3. And the run from over nothing to over 3 is also about 3. So the slope of that should be around -1. Now, that's going to be a pain if you get really big numbers. If I gave you 8, -4 and 12, 6, you're not going to draw this coordinate plane and do that all the time. There's a nice little formula you can use if you don't want to draw this picture every time. So we take that same problem. Here is the formula, and most of you have probably heard of this formula before. It is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. It's one of the few things that you need to memorize in this class. I don't like you to memorize a lot of stuff. I want you to understand where it comes from, but as long as you're in school, high school, college, wherever, you're going to have slope. And that's just a formula you're going to need to know. So, where all these letters and numbers come from is pretty simple. We call this the first point, point number 1. And we're going to call this the second point, point number 2. Hopefully your teachers back in the day taught you that every ordered pair is x, y. So x, y, x, y. So, and that's where these things come from. 3 is x1. 5 is y1. 0 is x2. 8 is y2. So here we're going to take the y2 minus the y1. So here's the y2 and here's the y1. So we're going to take 8 minus 5. Then we're going to take the x2 and subtract the x1. So x2 is this one, which is 0. x1 is this one, which is 3. So we're going to take 0 minus 3. So now, just clean it up. 8 minus 5 is 3. 0 minus 3 is -3. Be very careful with your sign. 3 divided by -3 is -1. So the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points is -1. And we kind of figured that out over here. We knew it was going to be around 1, and that line is going downhill, so we know it's negative. Now, where does this come from? The y2 minus y1 is just when you subtract this y coordinate and this y coordinate. In this case, the 5 and the 8. And that just tells you your rise. So y2 minus y1 is nothing more than your rise. When you subtract your x's, like here minus here, that is your over number, your run. So it's not really some magic formula. You just get the rise by subtracting your y's. You get your run by subtracting your x's. So let's do another one of those. So let's say you have the points. We'll pick some bigger numbers that you probably wouldn't want to use. Say you have 12, 3 and -6, 2. Like I said, if you really wanted to, you could draw a coordinate plane, graph those points, count the rise, count the run, but this would be a real pain to do. So go to your formula. y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So, until you get good at it, you might want to label these. So we'll call this point number 1, call this point number 2. Remember, this is the x, the y, the x, the y. So we're taking y2 minus y1. So we're going to take 2 minus 3. x2 minus x1. you're going to take the negative 6 minus 12. Lots of negatives here, so be careful. So when I do my y2 minus y1, 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Negative 6 minus 12. Be very, very, very careful with your negatives here. Remember, negative 6 minus 12 is like saying negative 6 plus negative 12. All the way up to negative 18. So, negative 1 over negative 18 does not reduce, it does not simplify, but the negatives do cancel, and the slope would be 1/18. Very weird number. That's a very small slope. If we were to actually graph that, the line would probably be almost flat, because it has to go up 1 over 18, so it'd be a very flat line. So it probably looks something like this. You can probably barely even tell it's going uphill. But it will go up 1 over 18. So sometimes you'll get problems like that. So that's how you find the slope of a line given 2 points. I'm trying to think if there's any kind of trick problems or anything you'd see with this. Probably not. You're just going to be given tons of these problems, plug them in, practice. That's about it. The nice thing about this method, you're going to get your positive or negative sign in your answer. If you remember the old method we did here in the earlier lesson, you actually had to figure out, is it positive or negative? And we talked about having this bike on your line. Uphill, positive, downhill, negative. So when you have a picture, you got to figure out the positive and negative on your own. When you have ordered pairs, it's going to be given to you. So that is finding the slope of a line given 2 points. Hopefully that helps you out.